Hey guys, Al Pooley here from Party Time DJ Services. We got another active speaker review, and today we're looking at something brand new from Yorkville. This is the EF-10P, a part of Yorkville's Elite line, also featuring the EF-12P, EF-15P, and some matching subs. I'm saying Yorkville's Elite line, but this is actually Yorkville's revamped Elite line, because the Elite line's been around for quite some time, since the 80s, if I recall correctly. I remember as a young DJ, being a teenager and seeing those Elite Dual 15s, and back then, you know, we saw 1,000 watts. When 1,000 watts was considered a really large amount of power, and we were all impressed and wanted these Dual 15s in our DJ systems. But just to say that the Elites have been around for a while, I remember having the smaller, the 10-inch Elite Micron 160s, and they were just fantastic little cabs for their time. And I remember them having RCF and I believe it's BEMA, but I remember RCF transducers in there. And ever since the Elite line has existed, it's always been one of Yorkville's top lines. And they always featured, you know, top-of-the-line transducers from manufacturers, including RCF, BEMA, BNC, 18 Sound, and even some better Celestion drivers. So let's have a quick look at the EF-10P from Yorkville. See if I'm not sure if my camera's going to focus here because it is just a cell phone. But basically, it's a 600-watt active loudspeaker, 1200 watts peak. So I'm happy Yorkville is more conservative with these numbers compared to the Parasource line. I was a little disappointed when I saw the Parasource boasting 4400 watts. I call them marketing watts. A lot of people know that these are, you know, usually exaggerated or just peak figures, and they're not really useful when doing a comparison in real world numbers. So I'm happy to see these are rated at 600 watts, which is really 600 watts RMS and continuous. I believe it's 500 to the woofer and 100 to the 1.5-inch compression driver, which is a very good number for a very high number, just perfect number for a quality 10-inch active speaker. And actually the 10-inch woofer in there is a 10-inch neodymium unit, which is, it's rare to find neodymium these days in speakers just because the cost of neo is really up from what it was 10 or 15 years ago. But it does provide with a lower weight overall, and they're just very good transducers. And they do have a 2.5-inch voice coil, which is great in the 10-inch woofer. So very good quality components in there. And I have to say, I really, really love the look of these. The Parasource look okay, but I find they have a more industrial look. These have more of a, I'm going to rip your face off, but do it, you know, well, and while sounding good. They just ooze quality from, you know, top to bottom. Let's have a quick look at the side here, just to show you the finish. Basically, I love the finish on these guys. You just see very nice quality, detailed work. You have one side handle, and you also have a top handle. Let's have a quick look at the top handle, just because it's so pretty, just like the side handle. But you can, just seeing that, you can tell these are quality boxes, not crappy Chinese-made stuff. Talking about that, I actually just reviewed some Mackie Thump 12As a few days ago. You know, not a terrible beginner box, but nothing compared to these in terms of quality. So looking at the back of the EF-10P, pretty much the same as the 12P and 15P if you look at my 12P review. But basically just nice little mixer section, line and mic in, combination 1/4-inch XLR, volume for each. You also have a master volume, main in, as well as a through. And of course you have clip and limit light. You also have a 100 Hz high pass filter if you're using this with subs. Bluetooth, don't get your hopes up. This is not for streaming music. This is basically just to control the EQ, because you do have, there's 4 different EQ modes: club, green, concert, yellow, purple, vocal, and white is actually the user. That's where you're going to be using your Bluetooth connectivity to download. You can download the app and use your Apple or or whatever device, your telephone, to use this mode and EQ, program your own EQ settings in this box. That's another little feature that's good to have. But basically, to me, the concert, vocal, and user modes sound pretty damn close. I didn't hear a very big difference between these three. They're the flatter modes, while the club is definitely very boosted in the low end, which I like in certain situations. Like for music playback at low level, it's good to have. You're a DJ and you're playing, supper music during the meal or whatnot. It's great to have that boost. And if you're just playing a smaller event at lower volumes, and you don't feel like bringing subs, that club mode can actually, it almost sounds like you're using subs. It gives you that low end. The only thing is obviously at higher levels, especially with a 10-inch woofer, it can only move, so much air. So eventually it levels off and the horn gets louder. And in some speakers, this doesn't sound very good. I'm thinking about the NX55P. I did not love the NX55P for that reason. There's a whole lot of bass right at the beginning. And as you turn up the volume, that bass levels off, and then you want more volume, but only the compression driver gets louder. NX55P to me didn't sound great into when it was loud and when it was when the woofer ran out of steam. These, on the other hand, sound a lot better. I think it's because I'm not sure if I forgot to look at all these features here, but it does have it is bi-amplified like most active speakers, but it does have multi-band limiting, which basically means that there's more than one limiter, and it will limit different frequencies. And if your bass isn't going to affect how your vocals sound, if the bass is saturated, or if it's at its limits, the vocals are still going to get louder. And the way Yorkville did this processing is very transparent, very well implemented. Because even with I use these in music mode, which obviously has a club mode, which has definitely a good emphasis on the low end or low frequencies. But as the volume got louder, eventually the bass does level off, but the mids and highs did get louder and louder and louder. But it didn't sound bad. It just got louder and louder and louder. It sounded a lot better than the NX55Ps, for example, which have a much more simple limiting system. So anyway, good job, Yorkville, on this multi-band limiting. It does make a big difference. But for 10-inch speakers, these things really, I'll say, they really, really kick ass. The price on them is definitely on the high. They're $1,199 a piece here in Canada, so that's definitely a high price tag. But if you, like, for example, if you compare to I have the YX15Ps here, which are a 15-inch and 1-inch, and these retail at $599, basically half the price of the EF-10P. But the EF-10P actually outperforms the YX15P quite noticeably, and it extends lower. These go down to 48 hertz. That's plus or minus 3 dBs, which is impressive in itself for a 10-inch speaker. So down to 48 hertz. Maximum SPL is 123 continuous, 129 peak, and that's a lot lower than the NX55P, for example. But to me, these get a lot louder than the NX55Ps, or they actually sound a hell of a lot better. Getting loud is maybe what I'm hearing, but I would take these over the NX55Ps in a heartbeat, to be honest. I love the compact size. I love the look of them. I love the way they're processed. As mentioned, I use them in DJ mode, and to me, if you don't, it is a pretty strong bass boost. You can always just dial down. Like I have the PGM8, and there's a knob here, just your low frequency knob. Just go -3, just dial it down a little bit, and if you don't want all that bass. But to me, it just makes the EF-10P sound nice and full. And how do they sound? Well, for example, compared to these are my reference, the RCF 310As. The 310As are definitely, I'll say not really, they are a little smoother, they're a lot more ear-friendly. They're not as strong as the mids, they have a nice well-balanced sound. These have a very strong mid voicing, kind of like the EF-12Ps, although even though they don't have the 3-inch compression driver, they are kind of voiced like, the Elites have always had that stronger mid voicing, if I recall correctly. I remember the EF500Ps, which were 15 and 1-inch. They had a bigger horn, but they were just, EQ'd or pre-EQ'd or processed to just be loud in the vocal range. And the EF-10P is no exception compared to a lot of today's speakers, which have that, DJ mid-scoop or that smiley curve EQ. These do not. These are very... Although I find them fairly well balanced, they are pretty aggressive they have a nice mid clarity. I wouldn't even say aggressive. They have a nice mid clarity. If you don't like, if you're playing for a small group and you're playing playback music, if you have something like the PGM8, just, you know, dial down the 1, 2, and 4, 1, 2, and 4K frequencies just a bit to, you know, EQ them how you want them to sound. But they're very easy to EQ to get them to sound very decent. Even out of the box, with the club mode, I was very, very happy with the sound of them. Nice big bottom, but not only big bottom, because big bottom, that can often sound boomy if you don't have, you know, strong mids to compensate, and a good crisp high end. These just haven't, I really like their sound. They're a little aggressive, but, you know, when you get speakers in a hall, it's not the same as when you have them in a little studio like this. So in a hall, especially if you're doing like live sound, you will want that strong mid, and that's what a lot of the cheaper speakers can't quite do, is get those nice mid or those nice vocals out. For example, the Mackie Thumps, the ones I tested, they were okay on playback music, but I tried to use them for karaoke and they just really sucked. The mids on them are just awful, very, very weak. They do have some bottom and whatnot, but the EF-10Ps, they'll get your vocals out there. The guitars, they are loud. They're tiny but loud. And I really think the price tag is justified. Not to mention, you get Yorkville's 2-year, no questions asked warranty. I highly, highly recommend you renting them to give them a try, especially if you're a one-man band. You want something compact, but something that will also sound great for the guitar and vocals, and will really get that sound out there and can pack a whole lot of punch and power. I couldn't even get these things to limit compared to that's one thing. I think Yorkville adjusted their limit lights on these, because the EF-12Ps I thought limited, or the limit lights triggered way too early, and it's a lot better on the EF-10Ps. I haven't even seen the limit light trigger. You can hear the low frequencies being limited, or the limiting come in. It's fairly transparent, but you do notice it. But the EF-12P, the limit light just came on really too quickly. So I think maybe that's something they fixed, because I did try them when they first came out, and I could not even get the limit lights to blink on these. And I did crank them quite a bit. Very, very impressive little speakers. They maintain their composure. Just, you know, you pay a high price, but you are getting quality here. They are 42 pounds, but, you know, it's Baltic birch. It's not cheap China plastic. These are Baltic birch cabinets. They're ABS coated, but they are Baltic birch, and they are made, designed, and built. You know, they're built in Canada with top-of-the-line transducers in there. So you are paying a premium, but you are getting premium quality in these. So please do yourself a favor, go out and rent them, give them a test, and tell me what you think about them. I absolutely love them. I've always loved compact speakers that could pack a punch, and these definitely do. So great job, Yorkville, on the EF-10Ps. I was very happy to test these. So go to your local Long & McQuaid, try them out. I think you'll be impressed. They have half-price rental days. Sign up to be a Long & McQuaid Insider, and hey, rent them for half price. That's what I did. Rented them for a week, and I don't regret it. So this has been Al Poulin from Party Time DJ Services. You have any questions or comments, feel free. I'll do my best to answer you. Have a great night, guys.